All right, Mountaineer fans, welcome into the Press Virginia podcast with Coach Billy Hahn, presented by our friends at HD Media and the Charleston Gazette. I'm Anthony Lewis, and I'm based in Nitro, West Virginia, and Coach Hahn is joining me, and he is in Morgantown, West Virginia. Coach Hahn, welcome to the Press Virginia podcast, bearing your name.
I tell you what, Anthony, I can't thank you enough. I'm very excited about Press Virginia podcast with Coach Billy Hahn and Anthony Lewis. Can't thank you enough for setting this up, and I got to thank all of our sponsors as well.
Yeah, we'll have some more joining us, but we appreciate the sponsors. And then later in the show, Coach Ron Everhart will be giving us a scout and a breakdown of Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. So make sure you keep the podcast rolling, as they say, and get some inside information on Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. Well, West Virginia is sitting at 8-2 with losses to Gonzaga and to Kansas. And with the win yesterday, 73-51 over Northeastern. So they played yesterday. But overall, Coach, what is your impression of this team so far? And what are some things that you thought would be better and some things you think that this team could work on?
Well, been going to a lot of practices, Anthony. And Hugs has been very good to me to let me come in and sit in and watch him practice. And so I've been there since the very beginning. And I sat there with Hugs all those practices. And I said, Coach Huggins, I said, this is the best team I've seen you have that shoots the ball as well as they shoot it. I said, you got some guys that can really shoot the ball this year. Well, the game that was proven was when we played Richmond. And that's been the only game of the season where both the inside scoring and our shooting has clicked at the same time. But Richmond, we were on fire and shot the ball extremely well, along with our inside game. So if we can get that out of our team every game, which we haven't been able to every game, we'll be pretty good. For example, against Kansas, Sean McNeil was out of his mind. He was on fire with the three-point shooting. He hit a three-pointer at the buzzer at the end of the first half to put us ahead at the halftime. I think we are at our best, Anthony, when we play Bob Huggins style basketball. And what I mean by that is this. When we're playing defense and we're up the line and up the lane, and we're taking passes away, the next pass away, we are a very, very good basketball team. If you watch us play and you see the team we're playing able to throw the ball from player to player with no pressure on that pass, and for us not taking the anti-reversal away, you're going to see West Virginia struggle.
Mm-hmm.
So I think our offense and how we play is dictated by our defense. And the Bob Huggins style defense is to pressure every pass. Don't let the ball be reversed. Make it very tough for the initial entry pass. And the second thing is hit the offensive glass. Well, against Kansas, we did not do either one of those things. We didn't take things away, and we did not hit the offensive glass. And the problem being in that game was Kansas shot so many three-pointers that when teams shoot a lot of three-pointers, long shots, that equals long rebounds. And those were a lot of long rebounds, and we did not do a good job of getting to the ball on second shots against Kansas.
Yeah, I think Kansas shot they shot 37 threes or something.
Exactly. If you go way back, which it's hard for people to remember, but we played Gonzaga who's the number one team in the country. I thought we played Gonzaga better than we did Kansas, to be honest with you. And we had Gonzaga on the ropes a little bit, and then down the stretch, we turned it over a couple times and didn't make a couple shots. We ended up losing to them, but I thought we played better against Gonzaga than we did Kansas. So those are our two losses. I know we're still in the top 10. We didn't fall out of the top 10 this week, both AP and coaches poll. And CBS Sportsline just today came out. I don't know if you saw it or not, Anthony, but CBS Sportsline came out today. And because Houston got beat last night, a couple of teams have been upset, we're number 6 on CBS Sportsline's poll today. So things are moving up.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, West Virginia has lost to number 1 Gonzaga and now number 3 Kansas. So you're not going to be punished for losing those type of basketball games.
Correct.
One of the things that really stands out to me, and let's start with Oscar Tshiebwe. Oscar, to me, something's wrong. Something's off. Are you seeing the same thing I'm seeing? I just feel like he is not the same player that we saw last year. I don't see the same hustle out of him. Do you feel like maybe he's in his head a little bit, or what do you think's going on there, or am I seeing it wrong?
No, I think you're seeing it right. Coach Huggins has been very open about Oscar's play, and he's talked to Oscar, and Oscar played better yesterday against Northeastern, best game of the year so far. And I think Hugs' conversation with Oscar's been like, hey, you're thinking too much, just play. And I think Oscar's has had a tough year because he's been in foul trouble every game this year, except for the 2 games he's played extremely well, which he was not in foul trouble. So if Oscar can play and stay out of foul trouble, he's pretty good. I think Oscar came into the season and didn't work quite as hard during the off season, with the season being shut down. When the season was shut down, you still there?
Yeah, well, I got you.
Okay. When the season was shut down last year, and in the off season, I don't think Oscar worked in his game that hard, and I think he got a little bit out of shape. So we'll see what happens. Now you're going to find out because we enter conference play and you can't hide.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Oscar played well yesterday at 15 rebounds, 12 points against Northwestern. One of the standouts to me, and I thought he disappeared a little bit last year and was, and I didn't know really exactly where this young man would show up this year, but Derek Culver has been the shining spot on this basketball team. And I honestly, I didn't write him off last year, but I just didn't know where his head was at. And that young man has came out this year on fire. As they referenced him on ESPN one night, they called him a walking double-double. I mean, he's just playing excellent basketball, and he had 18 points yesterday against Northwestern.
Well, the great thing about that, Anthony, is if everybody recalls last year, Hugs took basketball away from Derek Culver for, the first month of the season, the first 6 weeks of the season. You know, he let him practice, but he didn't let him play games. And had basically had a written sort of like report card that Derek Culver had to sign and couldn't come back until he did all the things that he needed to do that Hugs wanted him to do, which to Derek Culver's, he did it all. So I give Derek Culver a heck of a lot of credit. So I think Derek Culver has matured mentally and physically and has grown and matured mentally more so than anybody else, to be quite honest with you. I think he's rolling. He is a double waiting to happen every night.
Mm-hmm.
He's really worked on his game and has gotten better and better and better. And I think there's nothing but the sky's the limit for him.
Yeah, I mean, last year, I was really concerned, and I went to a practice with you last year, and basically you were kind of breaking him down and talking about his footwork, and he's clearly got it in his head that he has to listen to the coaches, and he's come out. He's on pace right now, definitely to be a first team All Big 12 player, but he's on pace to be an All American. And
absolutely, yep.
And I think he's got it together, and again has been a shining spot on this team. Emmett Matthews, I mean, this young man is playing great basketball as well. Only a sophomore.
Emmett Matthews has sort of been the spark plug of our basketball team last year, and at times this year, where he makes big shots. All of a sudden, will take the ball to the rim and dunk on people and make an exceptional flying trapeze type play where he dunks on everybody. He's been our steady guy so far. And the other guy I think has been steady as steady can be is Deuce McBride. How do you like him?
Yeah, loving him right now. Loving him. The only guy I'm kind of waiting on, and you're around him more than me. I'm from the outside looking in, but Sean McNeil clearly has one of the best shots in the country. But I think Sean McNeil's only issue is he gets in his own head. He has to see those early shots go down, or he's almost finished for the night. And I get it. As a shooter, you got to shoot your way out of it. But sometimes you can shoot your way out of a game. But am I wrong when I say he looks like a kid that has to see the early ones go?
Well, I know this. The Kansas game at Kansas, that's the best thing that could happen to Sean McNeil. That game gave him confidence, gave him the ability to know that he can go in a big game and make shots. And I think that's just going to carry over. And I think you will continue to see him shoot the ball extremely well. I know one thing. Sean McNeil knows Huggs is starting him and has him in the game for one reason, and that's him to shoot the basketball. When he has a shot, Huggs wants him to launch it, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Sean knows that. I think that helps him freeze his mind up, and he's going to shoot. He's going to continue to shoot the ball extremely well.
This is the first show for us, but there were games coming in that I thought West Virginia would roll through, and then I thought, for instance, Richmond would be a close basketball game. Were you shocked to see the Mountaineers take care of the Spiders the way they did?
I was. They come in and nationally ranked and sort of a hot team in the country when they come in. But I'm telling you again, the reason we spanked them and beat them as bad as we did was we took things away. We wouldn't let them make their initial entry pass. We overplayed all passing lanes. We took things away from them, and we beat them up big time on the offensive glass. Those two things creates our defense creates our offense.
Mm-hmm.
And by the defense we were playing, they got us in the open court and got us running. And it's amazing. We shot the ball extremely well against them because our defense created our offense.
Mm-hmm.
When we play like that, Anthony, there's not really anybody in the country that we cannot play with. Now, will it happen every game? No basketball team plays every game like that.
Right.
I mean, the only team so far, two teams, that have not really missed a stride is Gonzaga #1 and Baylor #2. Even Kansas, had a little of a glitch, So they're going to have times when you're not going to play like you're supposed to play. That's just basketball. And the more games you watch, Anthony, the more times you watch games, college basketball is a game of spurts. In every game that you watch, a team might get up 10 points. Then the next thing you know, that team that was up is now tied. And I tell my wife all the time, we're watching games. I said, Kathy, relax. It's college basketball is a game of spurts. You want to have the best spurt the last 5 minutes of the game. That's when the spurt time has to come. And so far, I think we've done a pretty good job of that this year with our season so far.
Yeah, it's been a crazy season. How do you feel that the coaches and the players have adapted to all the COVID protocols and the rescheduling of the games? I know Coach has been a little frustrated with the fact that West Virginia hasn't allowed fans, but just having to reschedule games and change your scout, and I mean, how have they adapted to all that?
Well, if you ask Bob Huggins who the most valuable player of the season's been so far, that's Josh Eilert, basketball operations guy. He's the guy that's been thrown into the saddle to find worthy opponents for all the games that were canceled, because all those teams canceled out. So, like, Josh Eilert has been absolutely phenomenal, and Hugs has even talked about Josh Eilert. And I got to give a bunch of props to Coach Eilert for being able to reschedule so many games and do what he's done for us.
Yeah, it's been a crazy season. Around basketball, around the nation, what was your opinion on Coach Krzyzewski's? He was all about wanting to play, and they lost a few games. And then, did you see the quote where he came out saying they didn't want to play any more out of conference games? They're only going to play conference games. Personally, I thought that was a little bit of a bad look for him, because at the time they had lost a few games, and it looked like he was trying to kind of tuck his tail and run. I mean, did you see any of that?
I didn't see that. I think recall, the head coach at Alabama, Nate Oates, came out and sort of made similar comments. Well, if Coach K was winning, he wouldn't be saying what he's saying. But
yeah. So,
I mean, everything's patched up with Coach Oates and Coach K. They patched everything up. But
right.
It's sure like at the timing of it.
Yeah, it was bad.
And what he said at the time, it almost made it look like he was crying because of the losses. But I think everybody's fine. He's back on page. But I did see that the Duke women shut down their program for the season, and they're done. They're not playing anymore. It's the Duke women, so might not be too far. Anthony, we are very fragile right now across the country.
Right.
Everybody's fragile. You don't know from game what's going to happen. For example, Jay Wright in Villanova, they shut it down because Jay Wright's he's got coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to shut things down. So, I mean, who knows? You could go to Oklahoma on Saturday, play that game on your way to Oklahoma State to play on Monday, and you're gonna get tested because they're tested all the time. The Big 12 has these testing procedures. But you could catch somebody on that traveling party could get it from the time you leave Oklahoma to go to Stillwater to play Oklahoma State. And if you got it, you can't play that game. So you just don't know what's going to happen, Anthony.
Right. Speaking of, I'm watching an SEC game, and when I saw the logo, and it made me think of, what are your thoughts on UK right now? They're sitting at 1-6, and and Calipari, I know you're friends with him, and
yeah,
but I got to tip my hat. He's kind of came out in the press and he's taking the heat. He's saying this is he should have never scheduled a season this way, but they're sitting at 1-6, and from my perspective, teams like Kentucky struggle because they don't have any chemistry. I mean, you can bring 7 McDonald's All-Americans in from the AAU circuit, and you're not going to be able to hone them in early and win. I mean, I think team chemistry is very important in college basketball.
Absolutely. That's what happens to the Dukes and Kentuckys of the world right now. Those programs are getting one and dones. And because they're having one and dones, they got new guys coming in. You see Duke's losing, you see Kentucky loses. That's because they got all new players and they're trying to get everybody together, which is hard to do.
Right.
Which is you just talked about. Getting chemistry and getting guys to understand their roles. For example, Cal has these new guys come in. Well, every new guy that he has come in, they're their best players all their life. They've always been the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Now all of a sudden, they might not be the guy. And even though they're getting to play, their roles change. And I think it's hard for new teams to understand roles.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like the Mountaineers so much, because we got everybody back from last year. And I know we got struck on our feet at the Big 12 tournament when they shut everything down, which is going to make us hungrier. But we've got everybody back, and we've been through the wars with our team. It's not like we got a new team of new guys. So compared to Kentucky and Duke, they got a lot of new players.
Right. Unfortunately, I got an email today from Brian Messerly, the SID at West Virginia. Isaiah Cottrell out for the season. Tough blow for that young man. I was, unfortunately, because of COVID, we haven't been able to play the traditional non-conference schedule where you, from time to time, get lots of minutes for your young guys. So we've not really seen a lot from him, but we've seen flashes, and he was somebody I was really excited about. What have you seen from practice, and and what type of young man are we dealing with that at West Virginia with him?
Well, we're gonna really miss him. He was probably our most talented big person who could post up and could face up. Derek Culver and Oscar are good, but they're not like really that good of face up players like Cottrell is. I mean, so we're gonna miss him. That's a big blow to our team, to be quite honest with you, that he tears his Achilles and he's out for the season.
Yeah, I was.
That's gonna hurt. That's gonna bother us. But when one window shuts, another window opens, or another door opens, I think that's gonna open a good door for Jalen Bridges. Jalen Bridges is now gonna have to play more, and I like Jalen Bridges. I think Jalen Bridges is very good. The other kid that came in against Northeastern came in and did a heck of a job is the Robinson kid. He had a heck of a game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to create some minutes for some other people, which is not a bad thing to have.
Right. Well, we've got West Virginia has Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, and we're going to take a quick break. But when we return, Coach Everhart will join us and give us the breakdown. He's got the scouts on those two games. And when we also come back, we're going to play the Dell Sparks Text to Win trivia question. Jot this phone number down, 681-231-2632. Again, 681-231-2632. The first person to text the correct answer wins an 8x10 from the Dell Sparks collection. And we'll do all that after this.
Do you have cold floors in your home? It may be time to insulate your crawl space because cold air is rising into the rest of your home. Alford Home Solutions can fix this problem. Go to alfordhomesolutions.com today to book your free insulation estimate. We'll examine the floor and the walls of your crawl space to see where the cold air is coming in. And then we'll block it out with one of our exclusive insulation products so we can make your home more comfortable. Winter is coming. Don't wait. Insulate.
What's going on, everybody? This is Deshaun Butler, and you are listening to the Press Virginia podcast with Coach Billy Hahn.
Welcome back to the Press Virginia podcast with Coach Billy Hahn, presented by our friends at the Charleston Gazette. I'm Anthony Lewis. And don't forget our friends at Alford Home Solutions. It can help you if you have cold floors. They can come in and insulate your crawl space because cold air is rising into the rest of your home. Alford Home Solutions can fix this. Go to alfordhomesolutions.com for a free estimate. Winter's coming. Don't wait. Insulate. Coach Hahn, you've got a guest with us. Go ahead and take it over.
Yeah, special guest tonight, Coach Ron Everhart, assistant coach at West Virginia basketball, Bob Huggins and the staff. Coach Everhart, thanks for joining me, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Billy. Anytime. It's good to be on your show.
Yeah, I know you're very, very busy. All of our listeners out there, we are very fortunate tonight to have Coach Everhart because Coach Everhart is the scout for Oklahoma game on Saturday and the scout for Oklahoma State on Monday. So the Mountaineers are going. They are going to Oklahoma. They're leaving after practice tomorrow. On Friday, going to Oklahoma and play Oklahoma on Friday afternoon on ESPN2 at 4 o'clock Eastern time. And then after that game, they go fly to Stillwater and play Oklahoma State on Monday. And the time and the network, ESPN2 or ESPNU, will be decided in the next 48 hours. But anyway, Coach Everhart, I want you to tell everybody the scout report on Oklahoma, which we have on Saturday. Anything you want to talk about, Ronnie? Offenses, defenses, keys to victory, personnel, it's all yours. Go ahead.
Well, Billy, I think the biggest thing is they're a very transition-oriented team, so transition defense is going to be the key. They still have Brady Bannock there, who's a great three-point shooter. Austin Reeves is a kid who has kind of blossomed into the leading scorer and second leading rebounder at 6'5". He's great with the ball, can make shots. I only saw Jerry West play on film and in the NBA. I don't know what he looked like here, but this kid is kind of like that. He's a Jerry West kind of player. Long and athletic, and can run and shoot it. And very good player. Londus Williams is their 3 guy, 6'5" kid who has ball skills. Of course, Mannix, their 4-man, and Kraft is a shot blocker, their 5 guy. And then all their backups are really quality guys who can make shots and drive it and have ball skills. So they like most good teams, they're big, but they're able to spread you out, bounce it at the rim, and make open shots. So biggest thing is we're going to have to attack them, get it inside, try to get at their big people. We got to limit Reeves' drives and catch and shoots. And maybe the most dangerous thing is on his drives, he's able to get it out to their really good shooters, Gibson and Harmon. So, what we want to try to do is eliminate that. So we're going to have to guard the ball screen really well. We're going to have to share the ball on offense and get them to move as well. And above all else, we're going to have to get back on defense and make sure that they don't beat us in transition, because that's what they sort of rely on right now.
Gotcha. Lonnie Kruger is their head coach. He does a great job. This is his 10th season. He's always been known in the past, Coach Everhart, to sort of isolate guys that he feels they can attack one-on-one. Is that how they're playing this year?
Yeah, that's right, Coach Hahn. They look for mismatches. They look for ways to take advantage of getting a ball screen or making you switch into terms of getting them a mismatch. And he's been excellent at being able to do that over the years. And I'm sure that that's something that's in their game plan and in their offensive package, which I think we understand pretty well. They're going to try to make those types of adjustments to try to attack us that way.
So, Coach, they lost to Texas Tech, but they beat TCU. So they're 1-1 in league play. Is that correct?
That's right, Doug.
So we are their third conference game coming up.
That's right.
I got you. Okay.
And there are third conference games as well.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we're both 1-1. Both WVU and Oklahoma are both 1-1. So big, huge game for both teams.
Well, as you well know, every game in this league is a big game.
Ain't that the truth? That's true.
Yeah, I mean, there's no gimmies, and
yeah.
you know, it's tough. As different as it is now with the fans versus no fans, and somewhere in the middle type of thing, it's just you know, a different feel to everything in this kind of a year. But at the end of the day, it's still the same Big 12. It's a war every night.
Okay, last question on Oklahoma, Coach, and then we'll move on to Oklahoma State. But last question on Oklahoma. What should we expect to see them play us defensively? Do they have man-to-man, zone, press? What do they do?
Now, they're primarily man-to-man. They're going to switch 1 through 3. They're going to hard hedge ball screens on 1 to 4 or 4 and 5.
Right.
You know, typical Coach Kruger defense. They're going to gap everything, try to take away shooters. They'll run and jump at half sometimes, and they may try to double the low post. They have done that from time to time. They may not, but that's sort of like one of those things you have to be prepared for.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they do double our high-low stuff with Oscar and with Derek.
That's what they did last year.
I got you. All right. Let's move on to Oklahoma State. I know it's tough, but let's talk about the same thing with Oklahoma State. I know it's one game at a time, but since we're on the podcast, we got to do 2 and 1. So let's talk about Oklahoma State now, if you don't mind.
No, they're a good team. Obviously, they're 0-2, and they played 2 very, very close games. And they've got the kid Cunningham, who's rated very highly nationally. He's a great player. To keep the ball in his hands a lot. Their center's a freshman named Moncrief, good player. Avery Anderson's back, the 6'3" wing guy. Bryce Williams comes off the bench for him. He's a 6'2" guard who can make shots. And Rondell Walker's another one, comes off the bench for him, make shots. And then, of course, they have the Boone twins, Caleb and Keelan. And they have a graduate transfer named Ferron Flavors, who's a very good shooter. Been shooting the ball real well for him here lately. And, of course, Isaac Likely, the big, strong 6'5", fullback type of point guard who, you know, is always looking to drive it and get into the lane. They, too, are very transition offense-oriented. They keep the ball in Cunningham's hands a lot, and they play off the ball screens and try to spread you, drive it, shoot it, get to the rim. And they're smaller. They're not a big team, but they're very athletic, so they depend a lot on offensive rebounding as well. But Anderson and Slavers are really shooting the ball well for them right now. And those are guys we're going to have to take away. We're going to have to limit Likely and Cunningham's penetration, and we got to keep them off the glass, especially on close misses.
Hey, Coach, I've heard that Cunningham possibly could be the number 1 player picked in the draft. Is that true?
I've heard the same thing, Billy, and, you know, I've seen him on film a bunch, and he certainly is a talented kid. I don't know much about how the NBA drafts guys, but he certainly is a guy who you would look at on film and say he's an NBA player, you know. So absolutely.
So if he doesn't go number 1, he's going to go in the top 10, it sounds like, for sure.
I would say that he's probably a lottery pick, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Last question to you, again, about Oklahoma State. Now, do they play Saturday like we play on Saturday for the Saturday, Monday, like we're going to have to play?
Yeah, they're at Texas Tech, I think, Billy.
So they're at Texas Tech on Saturday. We're at Oklahoma. Yeah. So they got to travel like we do.
That's correct.
Gotcha, okay. And they have not won in the league play yet?
Two. They've lost 2 very close games.
Right.
To TCU and Texas.
Speaking about another desperate team.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they could come in, if they're at Texas Tech on Saturday, and Texas Tech's pretty damn good at home, and they lose that game, they'll be 0-3. Talk about a desperate team.
Yeah, seems like
yeah,
that's the way this league is. You know, almost every game is just,
every night's desperation in this league.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Well, Ronnie, I can't thank you enough. I know you're busy with all your scouting reports and everything, getting ready for the trip. I can't thank you enough. Appreciate it. Safe travels, my man. Hey, Ronnie, wear your mask. Wear your mask.
You do the same, Billy. Thank you.
Love you, Paul. Thanks.
See you, buddy.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Coach Everhart there giving us some good insight. What playing back to back, 2 games in 3 days is tough, Coach. I mean, no matter if you're on the road or if you're at home. When you were coaching and you were having to take those trips, what's it like for the players?
Well, here's I'm going to point out something. Here's the great thing about the Mountaineers of this year. The Mountaineers, because of COVID-19, we had to play 3 games in 3 days when we went to South Dakota.
Right.
Our preparation time this year has been not normal. Matter of fact, Coach Huggins always works out 2 days of practice before a game. Well, we play Oklahoma on Saturday, so 2 days, Thursday, Friday, getting ready for Oklahoma on Saturday, which is normal. But now we stay out there. We only have 1 day to prepare on Sunday to play Oklahoma State on Monday. But going back to familiarity, we're familiar with that as we have been the last few years. That's how you get ready in the NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
You have 1 day to get ready for an NCAA tournament game. So let's say you play a Friday, Saturday, and Friday, Sunday in the NCAA tournament, or you're assigned a Thursday, Saturday bracket. You win on Thursday, you have 1 day to prepare to play on Saturday, or you win on Friday, have 1 day to prepare to play on Sunday. So that's similar to what we're going to face against Oklahoma State. So I don't think it's going to be a big deal, because we have to do it. So does Oklahoma State. So I think we'll be fine.
Hey, before we get into our predictions, let's do a little trivia question. I've got a trivia question here for all of our listeners. And, of course, you know Dell Sparks. Dell Sparks has provided and is the sponsor of this trivia question. If you win, it's a text-to-win question. So, Coach, don't give this one away. Don't give this one away.
All right.
But it's a text-to-win question. The phone number is 681-231-2632. Again, 681-231-2632. The question is, in 1998, West Virginia upset Cincinnati in the NCAA tournament. Who hit the game-winning shot against the Bearcats, and who was the head coach for the Cincinnati Bearcats? If you know that answer, text the answer to 681-231-2632. I just read today, Coach, that I guess if Coach Huggins wins on Saturday, that will be his 300th victory at West Virginia University. You were there from a lot of them, or most of them.
I was there for the first 12 years, was I? Or 10? No, I was there the first 10 years. I was on his staff for 10 years of those wins. But can you believe he's got 300 wins already at WVU?
Yeah.
That's pretty damn amazing.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
I mean, it's been an amazing run. It doesn't even feel like to me that he's been here that long. I mean, obviously you think back, like, for instance, when I think back to the Final Four, to the 2010 season, it doesn't feel like 10 years to me.
It's amazing, isn't it?
And maybe it's because, a little funny story about that weekend and even like the weekend leading into the Kentucky game. My daughter was born on the Friday before West Virginia played Kentucky. So that was quite a weekend for me. But that's how I kind of measure the Final Four run is with her birth right there the day before the Kentucky game. But maybe it's because I have her and it doesn't feel like 10 years because it just I don't know, if it just keeps flying by, man, and it's hard to believe it's been 10 years since that.
What's your daughter's middle name? Upset?
Yeah, Upset. That's her middle name.
Boy, we went on a pretty good run that year, didn't we?
Yeah, that was a hell of a weekend and a great run altogether. Let's get into some predictions here. West Virginia, Oklahoma on Saturday. What do you see for this Mountaineer team for Saturday's game?
Well, we have not played good at Oklahoma. For whatever reasons, I don't know what it is, but going to Oklahoma has always sort of been a tough game for the Mountaineers in all the years I've been here and Hugs has been here. Going to Oklahoma State, on the other hand, has always been a pretty good thing for us, as we've had very good success at Oklahoma State. So how's this year going to go? I don't know, Ant. I really don't know. Don't have a feel for it. I've watched both Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. I've watched all their games that they've played. I think both teams are very talented. I think the experience and overall experience and talent that Oklahoma has is a little bit better than what Oklahoma State has.
Mm-hmm.
But Oklahoma State has the All-American star player and the Cunningham kid, which scares me because that guy can just take over a game. That's how good he is. He's 6'8", but he's a point guard, 2 guard, 3 guard. He can post you. He can do everything. So I would say they have the most dangerous player, Oklahoma State, but I think Oklahoma has the overall experience and veterans coming back compared to Oklahoma State. So I think both games are going to be different. As a coach, I hate to say this, but when I coached and we were on the road, you always hope to split when you've got 2 road games on the same trip. If you can split, you're happy as can be. If you can win 2, you're like celebrating. I mean, this is like unbelievable. So the biggest thing for us we got to do is we have to find out some way to get 1 victory of the 2. Obviously, you want both victories, but you got to split on the road.
Yeah, it's a tough road to hoe, and I honestly think West Virginia is talented enough. I think there's enough experience returning to know they've been through this scenario before. You know, West Virginia teams know these trips pretty well, where you leave and you have to take off for a few days and play 2 and 3 days. So honestly, I think West Virginia can come out of this. And again, like you said, West Virginia doesn't traditionally play well at Oklahoma, so I'm hoping they can kind of change the course on that. A split would be great, but I honestly think that they could come home and be 10-2.
And that would be tremendous, because then we come home and we play Texas at home on the Saturday after Monday's game. So, you know, hope to give them. He'd come back on Monday night. He'd give them off Tuesday, and they would practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, getting ready for Texas on Saturday. But next podcast, we'll talk about Texas game on the following Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So tomorrow, for our listeners, and they may take throughout the course of the week to listen to the show, find it and listen to it. But tomorrow is New Year's Eve. You have any big plans?
I have a reservation for my wife and I to go to dinner tomorrow night. But this is how old we are. We're going to have dinner at 6 o'clock, not late. Matter of fact, 6 o'clock. And we'll be home and in our jammies before all the craziness happens. I will not watch the ball drop. I won't watch the clock turn. But we will have a nice dinner together at a very nice restaurant here in Morgantown.
Well, that sounds like a nice evening out. We're going to be, of course, watching the Mountaineer football team take on Army tomorrow in the Liberty Bowl. I'll be home from work and watching that at 4 o'clock, and then my daughter will be here, and who knows what that will bring. You know, I'm not a big party. I'm not a big New Year's Eve party guy. Does that make any sense?
Let me ask you this. Since we talked about the football game, give me your thoughts on that real quick.
I think West Virginia tomorrow has to be very disciplined. Obviously, with the option attack, they're going to possibly run into some trouble, slowing that down. The triple option brings a lot of issues with football teams. So they got to play disciplined. West Virginia has traditionally this season played well against the run, so I think they should be okay tomorrow in that fact. I look forward to seeing Letty Brown tomorrow. I believe he's about 45 yards away from 1,000. I look forward to seeing him go over 1,000 yards. It'll be the first 1,000-yard rusher West Virginia's had since Justin Crawford. So that's kind of that belt, that notch on that feather in your cap, so to speak. When you've got that 1,000-yard rusher, that says a lot about your team and your running back. So I'd like to see him make that accomplishment, and I would like to see Coach Brown. I think Coach Brown can pull out his first bowl victory wearing the gold and blue.
Well, it'd be nice to see Coach Brown get his first bowl victory and being part of the climb, right? What's it called? Trust the climb?
Yeah, the climb.
Yeah.
It's been a rough season. It's been up and down for him.
Yeah.
A couple of games where I thought they would be close. West Virginia would blow out teams. Like I thought the TCU game and the K-State games would be a little closer. And then games I just wanted to see him compete in, like the Iowa State game, they were not competitive in. And that's been the last time they played. It's been over a month since they played. I think the team will be ready they'll be hungry to come out and kind of prove to everyone that that's not really a true representation of West Virginia football this year. Iowa State's a great football team, great program, great coach, and they're on the way up. But West Virginia's on their way up too, and to get that bowl win tomorrow would be a big deal for Coach Brown.
That'd be huge. Hey, Anthony, the Mountaineer fans have a lot to root for. Saturday football game, Saturday basketball game, Monday basketball game. We got a lot to root for. So, Mountaineer fans, let's all put it together and get some victories this next few days.
Amen to that. Well, I'll tell you what, let's get out of here. But first, I want to take the opportunity to say thank you to our sponsors at Alfred Hope Solutions, also the Dell Sparks Collection. And don't forget to swing by Coach Hahn's website. He's got Coach Hahn, it's BillyHahn.net. And also you can check out stuff for this podcast at PressVirginia.com. Coach, have a great
Hey, Anthony, can you tell our listeners how they can hear this podcast?
Absolutely.
How they do it?
So anyone listening, if you this show is available on iTunes. It's also available on Spotify. It's also available on Google Podcasts and will be archived on YouTube. So you can listen on your favorite podcast platform. It's well distributed and also will be distributed through HD Media and their outlets, which is the Charleston Gazette, the Huntington Herald, and through various other news outlets involved with HD Media. They'll be distributing the show as well.
That's great, Anthony. Thanks a lot for everything. Happy New Year, brother.
Happy New Year. All right. Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for checking out the first episode of the Press Virginia podcast with Coach Billy Hahn. I'm Anthony Lewis, and we will see you next week.